Aoshima, together with their European distributor Domino, have sent out a couple of their kits for me to build and also unbox for you guys. In this case, I'm going to go through the box, show what's inside of this kit, and then later on I will be using it as a test body for some paints that were also sent out to me by Domino. Potentially I will finish off the build and not really go overboard. It's mainly just a piece to show you guys the inside of the box and also use it again as that test body. So let's have a look on the inside of the box itself in general, and then go over the parts in a bit more detail further on in the video. The kit itself is a curbside, meaning that it does not have an engine or an opening hood. However, on the underside they did decide to add a bit of detail, so the lower section of the engine is there for when you turn the model over, and also a bit of stuff to detail around here. Of course, all the suspension components can be put in, and an exhaust to detail it up even further. So for the chassis there is a main sprue, which has pretty much all the components on it. You have a couple disc brakes for front and rear, even a cool radiator or intercooler, I always confuse the two, and some suspension too. This looks like airbags, but that's probably the standard suspension that was used on these cars back in the day, so it doesn't come with coilovers. It of course has the exhaust with one tip for each side, some of the other components for the front and rear suspension, and also some driveline stuff too, with the rear axles and some hubs, and even some of the subframes and underpan detail. So if you decide not to go with the standard exhaust, there is also a big one included. It is chrome plated, and the rear half for the muffler itself is made out of two parts, so that needs to be glued together and probably smoothed out, as it will have a seam line in between. Now this kit has been brought out in multiple different versions, so there are a couple of transfer parts from one kit to the other, of course, and some are not usable for this one, and some of course are not usable for the stock version. So one of the sprues that is transferable between all of those kits is the one for the main interior parts. The door panels are of course the same, some of the center console pieces are the same. It even has a detailed piece for the radio, which you can transfer. I'm not sure if there is another one, I think there is, so you can have one with a screen or just the regular radio, which is a super cool detail, and of course there are some stock seats as well. On the second sprue for the interior there is the main tub, of course the dashboard. Like I said, it does have that piece which you can change between a radio or one with a screen. The standard steering wheel is included, some wipers of course as well. The main tub has some details for some speakers on the rear, and also on this one you get some parts for the license plate, even the third brake light, and the standard mirrors. So if you decide you don't want to use the standard seat, there is also a bucket seat included here too. This is a separate sprue just to add a couple of details and make it more into a race car. I think this kit was also used for one of those D1 GP kits from way back in the day with all of the decals on the exterior, and now just transferred to this stock street version. and also this one with the nice body kit on it. So to spruce up the exterior even more, there is a really big wing included. I'm probably not going to be using it, but that all depends on the style I decide to go with it. And it also has another steering wheel in it, which is really nice, and some super cool race mirrors. And again, looking at these parts, I think this is from those D1 GP kits from way back in the day. So that is cool to see these parts be included in this kit as well, specifically these mirrors, as they are super cool. So like I said, a couple of the sprues are interchangeable between the kits. You have one with the stock wheels. Of course, these won't be used, but it does have a couple parts like the exhaust tips and even the inserts for the side mirrors, which can be used if you decide to do so. But of course, these are not going to be used. I'm going to be using these. So it's super cool to have these included as well. Of course, they are on the box, so that is what's to be expected. But we now have a couple spare wheels for in the parts box. Now to go along with those new wheels, we of course get some new tires too. These are nice and big, have a nice sidewall, and of course a lot of thread detail on them too. As usual, the Clearparts come on a separate sprue too. It has a lot of details molded into them. There are some nice lines on the tail lights and even some of the detail pieces on the other lights as well. I think you get the option between a nice flush clean one, and this is probably the standard one, so it's cool to see that they added those in as well. The headlight lenses also get a lot of detail captured into them, and some of the other lenses are there too. The main clear part is molded in one, which makes it a lot easier to just glue in place from the inside, so you don't have to do all of them separately. It does have a nice line on the exterior, or on the outside, not the exterior, on the outside, which needs to be masked off and painted black. On the rear section, it does have those heated lines in there as well for the rear screen heating, and on the side it has that detail in too. To go along with the main clear parts, you also get a small sheet with masking. This is for the rear window, the front window, and the sides as well, in order to paint those black lines that I mentioned earlier. It's a really nice thing to have added in these kits, as it does make it a lot easier to get a clean line and have it cleanly painted. There is also a small decal sheet included with a couple of the Vertex Ridge kit decals to go on the windshield banner, and some of the decals for on the side, even the license plate. And there are of course also the Toyota logos in the gold and also the silver, and of course some other various emblems to go all around, which is really cool to see. The main body on this one is molded in white, which is a really good thing, as it makes it a lot easier to paint it in pretty much any color you want. The full body kit is also molded onto the body already, so no complicated gluing or mess ups to be done there. It does have a full wide body on it as well from stock, and some cool vents on the side. The rear is also widened, and of course the bumpers all around are fit perfectly too. So one of the other giveaways that this might be one of those D1 GP kits is that they have the hood latches, the motorsport latches on the front, and also on the trunk, and even some of these latches here too. You could of course shave those off or just leave them on and go with that look for a full street racer or even just a drifter style build.